The tributes and honors continue for fallen Elwood police officer Noah Shanavez. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Nikki DeMentri. Earlier today, people from across the state came to the city of Elwood for an event called the Fallen Leo Rose Ride. A group of people asking you for money at intersections across central Indiana, maybe breaking the law, and in one city facing a possible fine. Just to put it simply, it's been an unimaginable pain for each and every single one of them. I want to first talk about John Weissert. He went by his middle name, Steve. He was the oldest person killed that night, Nicole. We first heard from this family in the hours after the shooting, before they learned of his passing. Moving to health news tonight, doctors here in Indianapolis are trying to curb the spread when it comes to monkeypox, and one way is through vaccine distribution. Now, this all comes as the federal government just this week declared a public health emergency. Now, as we head into the work week, we want to turn to WRTV meteorologist Kyle Mounts for a look at your forecast. Kyle, it feels like it's been hotter, more so now than ever. Am I just imagining things?
It has been pretty hot out there.
And an Indiana man's remarkable selfless rescue of a 6-year-old girl from a burning home in Lafayette is now making national news. The two youngest victims, Samaria Blackwell and Carly Smith, they were just 19 years old, recent graduates of high school, working here both to try to save up to get a car. Now, I first want to talk about Carly Smith. I spoke with her mom, Karen, and her extended family. Her mom told me if no one else is yelling her daughter's name, she's afraid she's going to be forgotten. While many people are looking to earn just a little extra money these days without having to leave your home, consumer reporter John Matarese shows us how you can make cash renting out your backyard so you don't have to waste your money. It's been nearly a week since 24-year-old officer Noah Shanavez was shot and killed during a traffic stop. This evening, the 5-year Army veteran was laid to rest at Crown Hill Cemetery. Now, by the year 2030, Metro Police are looking to have 30% of its police recruit class be female. And an event today at the IMPD Training Academy took another step towards that goal. And trying to stop catalytic converter thefts, that's the goal of an upcoming event hosted by IMPD. To Metro Police, they are investigating a hit-and-run crash that left a man dead on the city's north side this morning. Around 6 a.m., IMPD North District officers responded to the 7700 block of Shaylin Avenue, where they found an injured man hit by a car. That car, though, wasn't at the scene. This was the scene outside Senate chambers Friday night, moments after a vote to pass the state's abortion ban went through. Welcome back. Protesters packed the State House as Senate Bill 1 changed abortion access in the Hoosier state. He's a Hoosier on the medical front lines in Ukraine. Today, I spoke with an ER doctor from Lafayette who's been in Lviv for the last 16 days treating patients. We spoke moments after explosions rocked outside of that city. Now, Dr. Chris Brandenburg is working in an emergency field hospital through the Christian-based humanitarian aid organization Samaritan's Purse. The Hoosier father and husband most recently worked for IU Health. He tells me he felt God called him to help Ukraine. The patients he's seeing, Dr. Brandenburg says, are extremely sick with cancer or other ailments where surgery had to be postponed. It wasn't until recently, he tells me, he's seen an uptick in trauma cases. Many of those patients are traveling hundreds of miles from Mariupol.
Basically, people who had gunshot wounds or shrapnel wounds, terrible wounds or broken bones, like weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they were stuck in Mariupol. And what happened was when even they got out, all the local hospitals were so full that if they literally didn't have something that they were going to die from immediately, they would tell them to go to another hospital. So I had people with gunshot wounds, shrapnel wounds still inside their bodies for 2 to 3 weeks that traveled 700 miles here once it got out of Mariupol.
Dr. Brandenburg will remain in Lviv, Ukraine for 9 more days. He then will travel to Poland before returning back here to Indiana.
Our Nikki DeMentri is anchoring our live coverage from the north side where police arrested that suspect. Nikki.
Hey there, good evening, Mark. I'm standing near the corner of 10th and Delaware. You can see traffic is moving. The road is open. This wasn't the case just a few hours earlier. And why? That was because this area was closed down for an officer-involved shooting. Now, police say that man that was shot during that incident, they believe it was the same man who shot and killed a mother of 2 at a daycare on Indy's west side. Now, all of this happened within a span of 3 hours, just really 3 miles apart. And tonight, we're learning that police believe that original incident was domestic in nature, and they tell me that the suspect and the victim, well, they knew each other.
Southwest 11, person shot, West 10th Street, North Holmes Avenue, church on the corner.
Friday morning around 7:20, police were called to West 10th and North Holmes, where they found a mother shot and killed.
To see this young lady laying over there deceased and her kids don't know that mommy's not coming home, that hits hard. It really hits hard.
Her family tells us that's Crystal Walton. She was dropping off her kids at this daycare.
It hits home real close and it's devastating.
Investigators with IMPD say the suspect, who she knew, walked up to the woman in the daycare parking lot and shot her several times. 3 hours later, and just 3 miles down the road.
Suspicious person, Delaware and Pryor. Possible suspect from the shooting at 10th and Holmes.
A 911 caller spotted a man they believed was involved in the daycare shooting. Once officers arrived, they confirmed the man and the car matched descriptions from the daycare incident. Now police say the man was holding a gun. Soon after, shots rang out.
Shot fired.
Mike, take control, shot fired.
A witness we spoke to at the 10th and Delaware scene shared this photo of the suspect. IMPD says the suspect, Orlando Mitchell, was shot at least once, but did not say whether Mitchell fired any shots. No officers were hurt.
There were probably about 15 or more gunshots, like in rapid repeat.
Mitchell had 2 active warrants for prior domestic violence cases involving Crystal Walton. Murder charges are pending. I know you've been speaking with the victim's family. What have they told you about this young mother?
That this mother was a loving individual. She always kept a smile on her face. Anything that you asked for, she would do.
The city's director of domestic violence programming says Crystal Walton has 2 kids. Now, detectives couldn't confirm it, but say there is possibly an active protective order against Mitchell.
There was a protection order out in reference to this individual and several incidents beyond that protection order. So the main concern is, where did it fail at? What failed?
A lot of questions tonight, also a lot of healing for the community to begin as we sift through this investigation right now. We do know that this morning, that incident, children did witness that shooting, and that's where Rachel Wilkerson joins us from in Hallville. She spoke with neighbors as well as a mother to see how they're doing emotionally. Getting married at the airport, well, it may not be everyone's first choice of a venue, but I recently talked to a Fort Wayne couple who say they couldn't think of getting married anywhere else. It's a busy Sunday morning at Indianapolis International. Thousands are coming through Civic Plaza ready to board flights. In 2018, the destination was Boston for Stephanie and Jeff.
He was on his way back from a weekend visit with his daughters, and I was on my way out for just a very quick, I think I was only out there for maybe 72 hours.
The Fort Wayne couple boarded Southwest Flight 2218 from Indy to Boston as complete strangers. Near the back of the plane, Stephanie sat in the window seat, while Jeff, who says it wasn't like him to board late, was running late that day, leaving him to pick the middle seat next to his future wife.
She's sitting in the window and she's taking her headphones, and she's right about here. And I asked her, so what are you doing going to Boston for?
For the entire flight and shuttle to the rental lot, the two talked non-stop. Not long after, they were off on their first date.
So we talked all through dinner, sat and talked some more.
Server
until
came up
finally
to
the
us.
servers came up and said, we closed an hour ago.
Can you guys get out?
Is there any way you guys could go? We didn't want to interrupt. It looked like you guys were deep in conversation. We're like, yep, sorry.
4 years later, the Hamiltons made their love story official this July by swapping vows in the place that brought them together, Indianapolis International Airport.
It just felt right to do it at the airport because that has great symbolism to us.
Southwest even made them a wedding cake, upgrading the newlyweds so they could board first, just 2 hours later on their honeymoon flight. The two, as you may have guessed it, were going back to Boston.
While we didn't have one of those really bizarre meet cutes at the airport where we bumped into each other in one place and then ended up sitting next to each other on the plane like in the movies, we still were sitting on a plane that was at that airport.
So without question, love certainly is in the air at IND. The Hamiltons say it's when you least expect it, you find your soulmate.
I didn't get on a plane looking for anything, but yet here I am. And I knew before I got off that plane.
Now, the two have matching tattoos to prove their love story. Kyle, you see right there, 2218, if you remember, that's the plane that they met on in 2018.
So cool. And, you know, if she had put those earbuds in, it could have been a whole outcome that they just missed each other.
I know, and it gives us all hope.
There you go.
It gives us hope.